So before I launch into this discussion about sealants, I'm just going to give a quick overview of what a sealant is. So it's basically a thin plastic coating that is placed over the grooves of the tooth, hits and fissures the small little grooves on the biting surface of the tooth. So as a tooth grows, it grows in lobes. Those lobes come together and ideally they coalesce and they come together and make a tight closure. But most of the time there's like a small little gap and then it's rounded off at the bottom, and that space is too small for a toothbrush to get into. So when we're brushing, we're probably getting the top of that area, but we're not able to fully clean inside those grooves. And some people have deeper grooves than others, and for those people you get a lot more staining and a lot more cavities on those deep grooves. So what a sealant does is it comes in, it's like a plastic material that flows down into those areas, and then it's cured, which is a photoactivated curing polymerization reaction, and that closes off those areas from food and bacteria. So it really helps to prevent cavities from forming on those grooves of the teeth. And I have to make a small side note here to say that fluoride doesn't work well on grooves of the teeth. Fluoride works well on smooth surfaces. So that's like front, the tongue side, the in between, the interproximal areas where teeth are butting up next to each other. So the biting surface, that actual area, like right here in the middle, that area is not very well mineralized by fluoride. So that's why they work so well together. So fluoride helps to protect those smooth surfaces, sealants help to protect the groovy surfaces. Another question parents ask a lot is, how long are these sealants gonna last? A sealant can last a really long time, but I always have a hard time answering this question because there's a lot of factors that go into it. So if a kid is biting and chewing on hard, sticky candies like a Jolly Rancher, or chewing on ice regularly, which is a habit that some kids take up, those things definitely decrease the longevity of a sealant. So a sealant really could come off really easily, or it could last for 50 years. Believe it or not, my mom still has her sealants on her. You can definitely keep them and they can last a very long time if you take good care of them. So I want to talk a little bit about the old way of thinking about sealants and the new way of thinking about sealants. And this is where the evidence-based dentistry really comes in. So sealants, even when I was in dental school, there were a lot of people who would say, if there's any chance that there's a cavity forming there or there's staining, like any question at all, do not do a sealant, do a filling. And so it's a little bit more aggressive approach. Now we know you can seal in the beginnings of a cavity. So let's talk a little bit about how well they work. So a sealant actually prevents a cavity from forming. It prevents bacteria and food from getting into those grooves and causing a cavity to form. It's about 80% effective, which is really significant when you think about it. And these are most effective when they're placed just after the tooth erupts. So you can't seal them right as they're coming in because you can't isolate and clean the area well to place it on. But once it comes all the way in and it is in the mouth completely, you can clean it really well, isolate it, and place the sealant. And just to give you a little background on the process of placing a sealant, it involves cleaning the tooth